Hi everyone, I'm Patrick and welcome back to my channel. This time I want to talk about the research environment in China and my own journey studying computer graphics. As we all know, historically, China was invaded by the West due to its technological backwardness, resulting in a massive outflow of wealth. The West then used this capital to further develop technology, widening the technological gap between China, which became even poorer, and the West. Nowadays, China has regained its strength, with many people becoming wealthier. However, there still exists a significant gap in technology between China and the West. Where does the problem lie? I want to unravel this question based on my own experiences. As I mentioned earlier, while some people in China have become wealthy, there are still many relatively poor people, or let's just say ordinary people, who make up the majority. I'm definitely one of those ordinary people. I chose mechanical engineering as my major in college with a simple intention. I believe mechanical engineering is the foundation of industry. Without understanding mechanical stuff, you can't truly do much, right? So, I figured I had to know my way around mechanical knowledge. However, I didn't anticipate the reality. The school didn't have enough funds to buy machine tools, resulting in outdated or insufficient equipment. Even the machine tools in our school had to be shared with other schools, constantly occupied, leaving little opportunity for personal practice. At this point, I realized that pursuing mechanical engineering as an ordinary person in China has no future. Mechanical engineering requires heavy investment, something only the wealthy can afford. Just think about it. If even schools can afford machine tools, then forget about ordinary people making an impact. Fortunately, mechanical engineering is versatile, covering many areas such as programming. I took a course in C programming during my undergraduate studies, which I heard was a deliberate effort by the school leadership to provide a backup plan for mechanical engineering students to avoid unemployment. I was like, come on, just learning C language won't land you a good job in the real world. But in the mechanical industry, you definitely need to know some programming stuff. After finishing that C language course, I felt like programming could be a viable path because it requires minimal investment. Just a computer. I could write programs continuously, run tests without any extra costs. Besides, I needed to have a unique skill to stand out among my peers. I realized that merely following the curriculum provided by the school would lead to a dead end once I entered the workforce. So, I decided to further my studies in programming, learning languages like C++, Java, Python, etc. Despite my continuous learning, I couldn't find a practical direction. I even attempted to become a hacker, but failed. Hacking is a gray area industry, and finding information online isn't easy. Without guidance, the only option would be to set up a website and gain experience from being attacked, which would incur high costs. It wasn't until I met my mentor, who later became my graduate supervisor, that things changed. She researched virtual reality in the medical field, leading me into the realm of virtual surgery. Indeed, virtual surgery involves knowledge in graphics, mechanics, and programming, all of which are related to mechanical engineering. So I had high hopes for this direction, believing that I could at least make some progress. But was my mentor really that helpful? Not really. She didn't teach me anything about graphics. She just gave me information about an open source real-time physics simulation framework and asked me to look up information online. However, this open source framework was incredibly difficult. There wasn't much information available online besides some documentation on the official website. The code base was huge, but there were very few comments, and I didn't receive any responses when I asked questions on forums. I had to slowly read and translate the official documentation, then learn gradually. Eventually, I learned to use it in a basic manner, but there are still many parts that I didn't understand, and I didn't achieve any outstanding results. But later on, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to give up on this direction. During my senior year, I joined another teacher's 3+1 program, which meant interning at his company. However, this teacher's behavior was even worse than my mentor's. While my mentor didn't teach me much technically, at least she gave me some freedom and downtime. But this other teacher not only didn't teach me anything, but also made us write tests for it, attend meetings every day, take care of hygiene, and even go to the company at night. I had to work at weekends too. One night, I couldn't handle it anymore and went back to the dorm to rest. Little did I know, that very night, that teacher happened to be at the company, and I heard he was really angry at me. I thought to myself, if he can get any angry about this, does he even have a conscience? How can I stay in this company in the future? Fortunately, later on, from my mentor side, I was informed about participating in a competition called the Challenge Cup, which brought me back to school after getting the green light from the teacher, and I returned to a peaceful life. Later on, I found out that Chinese professors usually don't teach their students. Before becoming professors, they strive to get promoted, but once they become professors, they just coast along. Their knowledge stays stuck in the past, and they lack the ability to teach students. Of course, they're more than willing to boss students around and make them do odd jobs. Of course, we didn't get a good ranking in the challenge cup in the end. Just think about it. My teammates were even less skilled than me and weren't putting in much effort. Plus, the mentor didn't teach. How could we achieve good results? Throughout my 4 years of undergraduate studies, I read tirelessly, constantly studying and learning, but didn't participate in many competitions. Even when I did, I didn't win any major awards. And of course, I didn't secure a spot for guaranteed graduate school admission. But does winning awards necessarily mean someone is skilled? Not necessarily. I had a classmate who snagged first prize in a robotics competition, earning himself a first-class scholarship in our junior year. I asked him how to calculate transformation measures for robot arms, and he said they was only used in research, and he was into applications. I mean, seriously? It made me wonder about the legitimacy of his awards. How can he be into robotics and not know about transformation matrices? If he's clueless about basic stuff like that, what real skills does he have? Of course, the school wasn't any better. Firstly, the school itself didn't have many resources, but it still hoped students to win various awards, file patents, and publish high-level papers to improve its ranking. So the implied message was to force students to use their own resources to conduct research and produce results in exchange for graduate school qualifications. Essentially, the school wanted benefits without paying the price. During the defense of my senior year project, my mentor and other teachers were present. At the time, a teacher from the same lab as my mentor severely criticized me, saying my paper was too profound, with too many formulas, and must have been copied. I was furious. I thought, teachers, if you don't teach normally, fine, but I really want to learn cutting-edge real-time face simulation technology. Of course, it's going to be profound. And those students who are lazy and don't study seriously, okay, you can scold them. But scolding someone like me who studies hard every day, it really hurts. Later on, I took the entrance exam and got into the same school for graduate studies, continuing my research on virtual surgery. The research atmosphere in the lab was very poor. My senior fellow students didn't know OpenGL or modeling and weren't willing to learn. They just dressed some ready-made components to finish the applications, and yet they dared to call themselves graphics professionals. Um, so I couldn't stand it anymore and went to the classroom to study on my own. Some interesting things happened during that time. One day, I was studying as usual in the classroom when a few girls came in and told me they had booked a room for a dance rehearsal. So I had to leave. I thought, wow, this girl's campus life is so exciting. They can date and participate in performances. As a study nerd like me, I can only be looked down upon by them. Of course, my mentor wasn't completely different to me. She started urging me to publish some papers in core journals. Actually, it was because my mentor saw that I had been researching continuously, but hadn't brought her any benefits. She got anxious and took the initiative. She even asked me to collaborate with one of my fellow students from the same year, but it was actually a ploy to extract my technology under the guise of collaboration. I thought to myself, I hadn't even come up with anything concrete yet. What result can I publish? But miraculously, after my fellow student listed out my technology, he somehow managed to publish papers, patents, etc. through various special operations. Then he got a first-class scholarship. And guess what? After reaping the benefits, he switched gears to gaming research, leaving me high and dry to continue my own research. And I thought, the world is really going downhill. Then I continued to work hard on various research projects. One time, I was writing an application program, and I couldn't even take care of my critically ill family member. In the end, the results were taken by my junior fellow students, and the R&D subsidy promised by the mentor was not issued. After all, the original creator received fewer benefits compared to those who listed up the results. During my postgraduate studies, I took an elective course at the computer science department. My intention was that since virtual surgery involves programming, I hoped the teachers and students in the computer science department could give me some professional advice on programming. But when I talked about my research content in class and even reviewed some core technologies, those computer science students were not interested in listening or communicating with me. Even halfway through, the teacher forcibly stopped me. I could see the disdain on those students' faces. The implicit meaning was that they looked down on students like me who were from their department, and even the teacher was the same. After graduating from postgraduate studies, I got a job at a private company, and the job position was very relevant, also in virtual surgery. At the time, I thought that technicians working in society must be very skilled, at least more skilled than me. But the reality was that the tech lead didn't teach me anything. Instead, he wanted me to immediately create a surgical scene. I said that if I did it now, there would be the series of risks in terms of technology. They might not meet the requirements of the doctor in the end. I listed risks one by one, but at least said that it didn't matter. If there were any problems later, we could solve them together. The implication was that there wouldn't be any onboarding training for me. Instead, he wanted me to start working right away from scratch. So I had to fight alone again. I didn't expect that before the scene was even completed. Just when there was a little progress, the list stole my achievements. With a little modification, he claimed it as his own work. I was very surprised at the time. How could a tech lead be so shameless? But then I calmed down and thought, since you are so eager for this credit, if there are any problems later, you solve them yourself. Don't come to me. When the doctor came over and tested the simulation program, he raised many questions. The tech lead then pushed the problems onto me and asked me to solve them. I was extremely angry. I went straight to the boss, but the boss didn't understand technology, and he didn't want to care about the details of our technical development. He just wanted us to solve it internally. Later, I found out that there are only a few companies in China that do virtual surgery, and they are not large scale. There are all private companies, usually with no accommodation, and there are only a few people in R&D with no training upon entry. Because virtual surgery is too difficult, many companies in this field have gone bankrupt. In other words, many private companies in China have neither money nor technology. Their product development strategy is very simple and clear. They recruit people who understand technology, steal your technology, and then kick you out. Later, I felt completely disillusioned with the virtual surgery industry and switched to a private company specializing in 3D reconstruction. However, the technique at this company was even worse. Firstly, the company operated under a secrecy policy. The code couldn't be freely shared or photographed, but the code was extremely messy, and many technology stacks were outdated. Secondly, whenever I asked the tech lead about certain parts of the code that I didn't quite understand, I was loudly rebuked, told to figure it out myself and not to bother him. There was absolutely no training in terms of technology. He sat behind me every day, monitoring and pressuring me to hurry up. But as soon as I had any results, he would sneakily look at the code I uploaded to the server, unwilling to lower himself to have an equal technical discussion with me. Basically, the technique perhaps didn't understand how to implement functionalities, or even the technical details of the entire code. Out of pride, he refused to admit it, but deep down, he looked down on subordinates lower in rank than himself. So, he bluntly ordered the subordinates to implement functionalities without providing any help, and then secretly stole their technology after the code was uploaded. This way, he could maintain his status advantage while easily acquiring new technology. At the same time, he continuously pressured you psychologically, making you feel inferior to your colleagues, which was essentially workplace manipulation. Therefore, I realized that switching careers wasn't a solution. I would be bullied for not being familiar with the technology. In a fit of anger, I left this company too. Later, investigations revealed that even China's big corporations had these problems. In essence, this is the R&D atmosphere in China. If employees slowly research technology in the company, they will be scolded by their heads. The heads prefer you to bring high technology with you when you join, then directly steal and utilize your technology to make quick money. Or they simply don't do projects with high technical content, but instead do projects that are relatively easy, but can still make big money. This way, the employees they recruit can start working immediately. Then I decided to return to my roots in physics simulation. So I interviewed with a company that does physics simulation for movies, thinking it would be great to have a guru mentor my physics simulation technology. However, during the interview, the position I was supposed to interview for was changed. I was originally supposed to interview for a physics simulation position, but it was changed to a rendering position during the interview. When I asked the interviewer, I found that all the physics simulations were done by return overseas doctorate graduates. They looked down on me because they thought my school wasn't good and my degree wasn't a doctorate. So they didn't plan to let me interview for this position. I was very angry and ended the interview in less than 30 minutes. Later, I did manage to successfully return to the real-time physics simulation industry because I was genuinely eager to learn advanced graphics technology. Of course, the work at the most view was still not optimistic, but I eventually mastered this technology. My ideal company should conduct a feasibility analysis before each project starts, brainstorming what solutions, technologies, and steps are needed to complete the project. Otherwise, if you don't even know what technology you need, the project is bound to fail. Then what's the point of starting the project? Later, I realized that such companies are probably very rare in China, including big corporations. Only very top-tier companies would have such standardized and comprehensive processes. But on the flip side, if companies don't understand this technology, they won't undertake such projects. So these companies wouldn't even exist, and I might not even have job opportunities. Let me tell you an interesting story from when I was working. I used to publish some blogs online for free. Little did I know, 2 years later, an employee from a big company stumbled upon my blog and turned it into a video to earn traffic fees. I felt speechless at the moment. It's one thing for an employee of a big company to learn from my tech, but to use it to make money afterward. And here I am, the original creator, not getting anything out of it. To sum up, there is still a significant gap between Chinese technology and the West, and this vastness is comprehensive. State-owned monopolies are controlled by the privileged class, so the responsibility for the development of high-tech falls on well-funded private companies or wealthy individuals. However, Chinese wealthy individuals tend to focus on quick profit areas, like net applications, rather than high investment, slow return heavy asset fields, like chip manufacturing or precision machinery. In essence, they prioritize profits over everything else, unwilling to pay the price, and even resort to unethical means to achieve short-term high returns, neglecting long-term healthy development. And this attitude prevails in academia as well. Leaders may not possess the technical skills or abilities you expect. They might just sit back and command you to work. If you succeed, they claim credit. If something goes wrong, you take the blame. Leaders only value your technical achievements, not you as a person. When problems arise, they expect you to solve them. But when profits roll in, you are quickly forgotten. Once the project succeeds and your technology is mostly stolen, they discard you to cut costs. Chinese people are necessarily smarter than Westerners. They often use their intellect for plagiarism, suppression, and manipulation of their own people, especially evident in leaders and bosses in high positions. As you can see, I faced numerous challenges on the path of real-time physics simulation research, and even attempted to switch careers twice, which is closely related to China's R&D environment. But ultimately, I returned to this industry also due to the pressures exerted by the same social environment. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts, feel free to leave a comment. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time.